Hey, I'm back. Short intermission. Alright, let's get into it. Kasha, be careful. You turn your head to spot Kasha perched precariously over the edge, her camera in hand, lining up another shot from her position. It's a great shot for the horizon, trust me. You get a good shot of falling to your death. Get back over here. The ground isn't safe. You can't trust anything beneath your feet this high up. Kasha doesn't heed their warnings, instead lining up the shot, the snapping is cleanly. There. No issue. And this just might be the banner image for my report. If the civilian is done being foolish, might we move on? Kasha nods and turns back around to join the rest of the crew. Only for her to slip on the ice beneath. You lunge forward and pull Kasha forward so that she isn't hurtling over the edge, but her initial stumble sent the camera falling below. That was a close one. My camera! Be thankful the camera took the plunge and not yourself, young one. Despite reassurance, Kasha moves back to the edge of the cliff, peering over, searching for her camera. I can't lose it. Wait, I see it. Nonsense. It's a blip on the rocks. You can't see the ground from this distance. No, it's not on the ground. It's snagged in the ice. It's not too far down. I can climb back up and... Not a hope. You want to go back to climbing? If I lose the camera, my entire reason for being on this nightmare goes with it. I'm getting that camera. She turns to you. Captain, we have to do something. This is your mistake. If you fall to the death, it's your own damn fault. I'm not putting anyone else at risk over this. Kasha moves quickly forward to retrieve her camera. Kurt steps forward. I'll do it. No, you won't. I insist, Captain. Kasha goes alone or doesn't go at all. I am not losing it. She rushes forward, prepared to go alone, but the navigator steps before her, insisting he helps. Kurt affixes the rope to Kasha, locking her in tight with the climbing gear. Leave the climbing to me. As a civilian, your safety is top priority. I would suggest rethinking this plan of action. We cannot afford to lose our navigator. It's because I'm the navigator that I'm going down. If I can't save the camera, no one can. That would be the preferable option. Kurt pays no heed to the protest attempt, continuing the climb down with Kasha in tow. Thank you. Don't thank me until the job is done. Bad luck otherwise. Let them go. Kurt and Kasha begin to slide down the wall of the cliff. At a steady pace, Kasha keeps her eyes on the camera at all times. Sorry, my dog just keeps chewing his stitches. Hold, please. Doggy's being bad. That's okay. If I need to stop, I'll stop. Easy now, easy now. You can do this, Kurt. Reassuring yourself isn't very reassuring to me, you know. Okay, I think I can get it from here. Think? Both of you, please. Don't make any rash movements. She collects the camera, and there we go. Now get back up here. Job well done. So much for bad luck. Yes, now let's climb back up. Kurt begins to adjust the lines of his climbing gear, prepared to lead Kasha, but the extra weight from the camera causes the rock beneath Kurt's feet to crumble, and the former film star goes hurtling backwards. He snaps to a standstill. The line between himself and Kasha is still intact, but the weight of the big man's fall pulls Kasha back from the face of the cliff. Blast, Kasha, are you alright? I can't see the cliff. What's happening? The blasted line won't hold with me. Pull us up. The rest of the crew hang back, lest any added weight at the cliff's edge can cause an even more dire incident. As you look down, you see the pair flailing helpless. Kasha spots you. Captain! Fuck. The crew scrambers to start pulling the rope up. No doubt the dangling weight of Kurt is also putting strain on the back end of the rope, as it's tied to the jagged rock at its peak. You notice the rope beginning to fray at the edge. So does Kurt. The navigator pulls out his knife. Kasha. She looks down at the man as he shouts. I always promised myself I'd lose a few bastardling pounds. Bit late for that, I suppose. Take a photo. What? Take a photo of me for prosperity, once-in-a-lifetime shot. No, do it. I'm afraid the old ticker won't hold out. Can't get any more strenuous than that. She reluctantly drops the camera into the void. Don't you dare. He isn't listening. You can pull her up, Kurt. You can do this. You see a twinkle in the man's eye. Do you really believe that, Captain? Stop wasting time and get to it. He puts the knife into his teeth. He starts to swing himself, reaching the cliff's face. As he reaches the mountainslide, he takes the knife and cuts his line. Before gripping to the side of the mountain and returning the knife to his mouth, he begins to climb and attach Kasha to himself. In spite of his injuries, he's secured through his expedition. Kurt makes it further up the cliff wall than any could have anticipated. Grunting and heaving, he makes it up a few runches, pulling Kasha in tow. Before his body inevitably gives in, hanging near lifeless, but still gripping onto the cliff's face. I'm sorry, Kasha. I just can't move. Kurt, you did all you could. You're a hero. I wish I could take one more photo. Well, the truth goes on. Kurt tries one last attempt as an ascent, but the pair know their fate. The ice rock gives away. The two souls disappear into the pale below. Not a scream is heard, drowned out by an oncoming wind. Captain, what happened? Are they gone? Hell's with it all. Nutley crumbles at the peak of the mountain, leaning over and dry heaving in sadness and terror. I always believed that Kurt would cause his own death, but the young one? An unfortunate turn of events. Still, we have to press on, Captain Shaw. I mean, that ain't nobody's fault but theirs. Oh shit, we're going all the way. The crew finally crests the mountaintop, grabbing everyone's attention in the cave in a rock wall. The cave? Aye, should keep us all safe from elements. Still, what lies inside, it may prove a danger. The crew get to work setting up camp at the peak of the mountain. Camp is set up. Captain, it is time. We are at crossroads and a decision needs to be made. We both read the Karen. We know the location of the Viscount lies in this cave. We are this close. Our mission ends. And what if pursuing it causes us to miss our rescue? They can always send another ship. The apparent won't stop at one. And if what we read is correct, the shore cabin should hold enough rations to last us a full year. We can afford the risk of missing a single rescue ship. I think it's worth it. We should secure the cabin first before returning. Right, of course, but this mountaintop is perilous. Captain, we could survive a second trek. You should inform the crew of our movement as soon as you leave this tent. I know you'll make the right call, Captain. Oh. You look across at the ocean. You notice the compass are pointing directly towards the cave. Whatever. The dark cave network reveals itself into an opening. There it stands before you, the Viscount, where it was left by its former crew, but not as it was left. The ship stands quite different indeed. The snow filtering into the grotto seem almost frozen in time. The weather itself remains fixed in awe of this impossibility sprouting from the great lost ship. You can barely believe your eyes. This certainly isn't a dream. You make out the letters spelling Viscount on the hull of the vessel. After 5 years, no, 6. After the roundabout road possible, you finally found it. You kept your eyes ahead. For once, the scientist is truly at a loss for words. It's almost as if it's looking back. My goodness. Shaw, despite the vegetation, the Viscount looks to be intact. I shouldn't hazard to get my hopes up, but... Remarkable, truly remarkable. Captain, we must study this at once. I was concerned, Shaw. I was worried that we may not find anything at the end, but this is more than I could possibly have imagined. How could something like this exist out here? It's just not possible, is it? Believe your eyes, Doctor. I can only imagine what Kurt would have said if he saw this. He would have loved it. Kasha too. So many won't see this. What the fuck? Am I seeing things here? You are not. You've got to be fucking joking. I know, this tree. The tree? I don't give a shit about some bloody tree. What? Then what? The Viscount. Look at it. It's seaworthy. You know that from a look? I know every inch of it. It's just like its twin. We can still sail this. Captain, this is truly a discovery for the ages. We need a moment to collect our thoughts. Under no circumstances is anyone going to touch that boat. For all we know, the plant could be poisonous. We need to practice extreme caution. Well, you're the botanist, aren't you? Take a look. Take a look at it. Grr, bark, bark, bark. Stanberry, please. I am no expert on plants, but something about that thing unnerves me. We should focus on setting up camp before we do anything rash. Indeed. Well, we should not lose focus. The crew get to work setting up a makeshift camp on the side of the ship in the grotto. It's locked. An old skeleton, what appears to be a captain's uniform. Their bones have fused to the roots around it. They've clearly been here for some time. Inside their coat, you find a ship's key. The engine of the Viscount, the classic rectified steam train model, twisted amongst the roots of the tree. You unlock the door with the captain's key. You enter to find a ghost sitting before you. Littered around the room are countless familiar scrawlings. She must not have it. I don't know what that says. Wanted, able-bodied. You wouldn't happen to have a light, would you? I thought you were dead. Not dead, not quite alive either. Somewhere in between, I think. You have a lot to answer for, Hunt. I'm sure you have infinite questions. He looks up at your head. Don't try to change the subject. I never liked the head anyway. A bit aggrandizing, don't you think? How's my ship? Cut the shit, Hunt. How are you even here? Well, that is a long story indeed. I suppose it's wrong to call her my ship anyway. Which reminds me, Templeton told you about Minerva, no? Why didn't you tell me about the benefactor? The time wasn't right. Minerva's story is a rather tragic one. Are you sure you want to hear it? Beautiful beyond reproach. You'd swear you'd never seen someone so idyllic. Anyway, the young starlet originally found herself at the helm of the illustrious stage career, following the Kane business offers, modeling, advertisements, and of course, love. Well, doomed love. She was widowed, you see, but not before winning the heart and hand of a son of a little tin foods can company. Get to the fucking point. Deduction would say that Minerva would like to keep whatever she finds for herself. Get ahead of the game, as it were. I've had enough of your ramblings. It doesn't excuse what you've done. I have some questions of my own I need to answer first, Robin. Now, I want to know. Which Shaw is speaking to me right now? What do you mean? Huh. How are the Soak brothers faring? We lost them on open sea. That is a travesty indeed. How did they pass? They were visited by the three sisters, the sailor's death. I hope they died singing. They did. We sang with them. Then they entered the sky seas. I recall we brought up on a stowaway this time. What did the young runt? How did he face? What do you mean this time? Hunt ignores your inquiry, moving to a new line of questioning. You made land after the sale, I assume. How's everybody else? How did you fare on the ice? The kennel master attempted to lead the expedition once we made land. I talked her out of it. Not easy to do. You must have made a convincing argument. The doctor has managed to stay with us at least. He found his nerve out in the ice. Now that's pleasant to hear. He was the only crew member I was unsure of. I didn't want to upset his father by getting the poor boy killed. Not that all that matters now. Told you enough, I'm done. Of course. I'm sure you're wondering what led me here. You might be able to tell it isn't a particularly hopeful answer. I failed my men. Well, there was the four of us, as I'm sure you quickly figured out. Smurf, Corvid, Joe, and myself grabbed what we could and headed off one of the larger lifeboats. Why did you abandon us in the first place, Hunt? I left for the good of the crew. You're full of shit, Hunt. You'll understand soon, Shaw. Our flight was in the name of finding ourselves here. All of us lie. Smurf was the first to go. They knew what they were doing. They made their choices, and now they have passed. But where are they? Where are their bodies? They aren't here. He looks wistfully at the table. The custom of the sea occurred. What do you mean? It was Corvid's idea. There were protests, but after we learned the tins were poisoned with lead, we had no choice. You're a monster. The other two argued over partaking. Smurf refused and said subjected himself to further tins. He didn't last long after that. He turned sour by the fourth day and attacked us and froze himself. Corvid and I made it to the mountain, and then she made the impossible choice. She offered herself to the mission. The man goes quiet. I can't get the taste out of my mouth, Shaw, no matter what I do. You're pathetic. You don't understand, Shaw. Every time this happens, my road always leads here, no matter what. It always leads to this. You've seen this tree outside, haven't you? What? A fruit? This is all for a fruit. You know, it's not just that, don't you? This is what the Abertons have been after. We're here for this. All roads lead here, Shaw. What's so special about it? I've eaten of this fruit countless times, and yet I'm still here. We have heard the conversations countless times, a different me, a different you, but the same. We keep coming back here. Do you regret your choices, Shaw? I remember you told me the sign of a good looter is understanding. Do you still stand by that? I do. That's commendable, Robin. The worst thing any one of us can do, Robin, is become the consequence of somebody else's plan. Maybe you were the best Shaw you can be. Maybe not, but you can still be. He gestures towards the fruit. With this, you can go back, change the path to me. What? You speak like this. You speak like you've been in this cave for years. I haven't, and I have. Every time I've eaten this fruit, every past loop comes freshly back to my mind, and then I send my mind back once more. You can do the same, Robin. You can go back again. You won't really remember, but part of you will want to try something else. Some things will stay the same. We always get stuck. The temperance is always lost. But you can save lives, save rations, perfect your leadership. If you eat the fruit, that is, open up your eyes. He pushes the fruit forward. What do you say, Robin? I don't trust this. My path is settled, Hunt. Well, at least this means you're proud of your choices. We should head out, Robin. We have people waiting. I understand. It's been an age since I've seen my crew. Oh, but before we do, the tree out there, do you plan on taking it back to the Abertons? I don't know. I'll need the crew's input. Of course, me on the other hand, I'm going to burn it to the ground. Are you ready for the big reveal? What should we say? Yes, I'm ready. Here we go. I'm eager to see the look on Templeton's face. The two of you pace towards a rest. Is this really all that's left, Shaw? Hunt surveys the faces present, or rather the lack of. God, Shaw, you can't even call this a crew. Templeton is the first to notice you. As predicted, the look of his face is a unique concoction of shock, anger, and mortification. Templeton, I appear to have found you a lost captain. Other heads rapidly turn in the direction. One by one, they abandon their work and rush to assemble to see the sight themselves. Our previous captain has returned to us. Returned? Looks like you found him lurking in the bloody hole. Bloody hell, it's actually him, a walking corpse. The others begin to murmur. Hunt, you're still alive? Ah, the doctor made it. Good. I need you to fix up my teeth. Excuse me? This is quite the shock. Hunt whispers to you. I knew the look on his face would be worth it. But, perhaps you would like to clarify our situation, Captain? Yes? No, Captain Shaw. How in the world did you find this man? Hunt has been moving ahead of us for this entire expedition. I found him in the captain's cabin. Has he enlightened you as to why he left? Aye. Yeah, the bastard was missing. Why the hell did he leave then? He didn't tell me. He knows the captain doesn't try to correct you. Captain, I think it's time we open the floor to the rest of the crew. Something tells me many of them have words to share. Hunt, why did you bring me aboard this ship? Excuse me? Doctor, this is hardly the time to work on your insecurities. The floor is open, Templeton. Quite so, Hunt. I've been asking myself the question since you left, since I saw you leave. Pardon? You what? You saw Hunt leave and you didn't stop him? This doesn't matter right now. It does to me, Captain. I remember that. You looked like a frightened deer when you saw me ready to go. Is that why you brought me on board? Because I couldn't stop you? Because I was young, naive, easily manipulated? It is, isn't it? Hunt tilts his head in confusion. Hells no. Oh? No, it was a favor to your father. He's my barber. That's it? That's the entire reason? Aye. He's a very good man. Asked me to toughen this boy up a bit. Seems like it's done the trick. Arthur did that himself. To be honest, I was worried from the beginning that my father was involved, and yet, after all that's happened, I'm actually relieved the real reason is so benign. This entire time it didn't matter. I put more thought into why I was here than Hunt ever did. The doctor had no choice but to laugh at the absurdity of it all. We were getting away from the point at hand. Anyone else apparently require a psychological evaluation. You turn your back to the crew to find yourself face to face with Hammond. He darts past you and confronts Hunt. Enough bloody games. You should have gone down with the ship. The tradition, you coward. Tradition would have want all of us dead. Best not follow that now, I think. No more jokes, Hunt. Hammond's right. He left us to die, bastard. Indeed, to pick and choose when traditions matter, it's shameful, no? At least Shaw sees sense. The crew are still looking to you to make sense of this all. Is there anything you would like to add to this, Captain? The rest of the crew are still waiting. About our benefactor. Templeton's boss knew this was a suicide mission. Untrue. They knew it would be a dangerous mission, just the same as any who read their contracts. They have been no pretenses regarding the danger of the expedition, but I can assure you all, the benefactor did not consider any of the difficulties we faced to be a likely outcome. The rest of the crew are still watching and waiting. If no one else has any qualms to settle, we should move on. We cannot wait around here forever, Captain. This ship, this tree, this is our next course of action. Isn't it about time you told them about the tree? Hunt, what do you know of this? I'm sure you're very interested in knowing, Richard. Anyone would be. This is what your employer seeks. The fruit of this tree, it changes everything. It will change the world. I've tasted the fruit countless times, and I've seen countless paths to this moment. My word. He's truly gone insane. No surprise that the man has lost his mind. Isolation out here, it would happen to anyone. Agreed, we cannot trust Hunt in this state. You really doubt me after what you've seen? Listen to me. To the hells with the Appertons. They can't be allowed to have this. Nobody should. What are you suggesting? It needs to be destroyed and burned to the ground. What? Hunt, this is quite possibly the most important discovery of our age. It needs to be studied. Barring that, you were hired by the Appertons to retrieve it, not to decide your own ethical judgment. Hunt is right. This thing cannot be allowed to exist. Allowed to exist? You hear how drastic that sounds, Shaw? Regardless, I am the captain of this expedition, and my word is final. A long silence fell among the proceedings. Rufus Hunt, you are not the captain of this expedition. What? Then who is Shaw? Bah, Shaw's the first mate. That was a temporary agreement. I've returned to reclaim my role. Unfortunately, Hunt, I have read our contract quite thoroughly. Templeton produces his copy from his jacket pocket. In the event that the captaincy is held in contention, the correct course of action is to hold a vote. Any officer of the crew may put themselves forward to claim the title. Well, then that's what we'll have. The crew should decide for themselves. A vote? I welcome it. Hold on a moment, the both of you. I nominate myself for captaincy. As stated, to do so, it's within my right. You bloody what? Hungry for power, is that it? Were that the case, I would have put myself forward when Hunt disappeared. I had faith in the chain of command, but you have failed myself and this crew, Shaw. Look at you, both of you. Captain and First Mate have both failed to lead this expedition with efficiency and the proper decorum. I have stood by and attempted to help for far too long. This crew needs a proper leader. You? Old Dickie Templeton? Fine. We'll see how that works out for you. The contract also states that candidates should put forward their selection for First Mate position. The selection of First Mate is allowed to make their case to the crew in open forum as to why they should select their paired candidate. Good luck with that. Best to get it then. Come on, you lots. The captain's vote requires a deck. Board now and let's end this. The crew tentatively boards the vessel. Proceeding commence. Jesus. No need for introductions. We're far past that point now. There's so much I've seen all of my days leading vessels like this, the sorts you lots would hear songs of and doubt every word of. But that I've seen here goes so far beyond any of that. What stands before you is so much bigger than any of us. I've walked this path before so many times. Half of you can attest to that. I understand. If you look at me as a deserter, a coward, a traitor, you have every reason to. But you should ask yourselves where you stand, where your road took you always, here with me. Even in my absence, I've always led you to where you need to be. Hunt clears his throat before pointing to the tree. This thing is an abomination. The power it holds is far too great for any one person to possess. Hunt holds up the fruit. Do you wish to hand this quite literal fruit of our labor, over to the employer who would have us die out here for their games? The employer who would not entrust you their name? An employer who would leave us out to die on this ice? That would refuse to send us rescue? There are murmuring between the crew at the implication that a rescue ship was not sent. That is not true. Shut that mouth of yours until it's your turn to speak, Dickie. Robin Shaw was a fine officer, but Shaw could only hold down the fort in my stead. Shaw did not weather the seas. Shaw did not discover the Viscount. I did. You should judge Shaw and the officer's own words. When we last spoke on the temperance, Shaw told me that the mark of a leader comes in understanding. I ask you, do you feel that after all this time, Robin Shaw truly understand every one of you? Ahem. You all know me as Mr. Richard Templeton, the chief science officer of this expedition. You also know that I have advised Shaw during their times of captain. Over these past 41 weeks we spent on the ice. Unfortunately for myself and for the crew as a whole, such advice has routinely fallen upon deaf ears. I should have expected better from someone of your honored military experience, Shaw. And again, Rufus Hunt is sadly living proof that not all achieve their rank may deserve it. You all know the reason Rufus Hunt found himself dishonorably discharged from the military. Abusing his rank in order to smuggle contraband, Hunt has continuously betrayed the trust of all who he has worked with. You all know that too well. For that, Rufus Hunt carries the greatest badge of shame a man can hold. I'd be wasting my breath running through every despicable act associated with Mr. Hunt. His reputation precedes him. As for Officer Shaw, despite my best efforts, it is no longer possible to argue that Shaw can be considered qualified or suitable for the position as captain. To understand that, one need only look to their sides to see how few faces remain amongst this crew in the wake of Shaw's attempts at leadership. Shaw would conspire to undermine the spirit of the crew itself, lashing out against the musician, and even destroying poor Mr. Stokes' instrument in the name of what? Fragile sense of control? Shaw proved unable to lead the open sea sail efficiency, and it cost the crew dearly. Not one, but two lifeboats, and the souls aboard with them were lost to the depths. If we were to sail back to the land once more, can Shaw be trusted to learn from such a disaster? I do not believe so. The officer expressed privately to me intentions of abandoning this mission outright. Before you stands not a committed and dedicated captain, but an opportunist. Why should Shaw have any say in the fate of the Viscount when they intended to avoid it outright? We stand beside the greatest discovery of our age and the pathway back to our homes. Allow me to humbly assist you all, as I have done since we first set sail. If you wish to return like lapdogs to the craven trader who would abandon you in order to protect his own hide, feel free to cast your vote for Rufus Hunt. And if you find yourself to be truly satisfied with the last 41 weeks in the leadership of Robin Shaw, then be my guest. But I have more faith in the intelligence of this crew than that, and I know you all see sense. Thank you. Now, a word from my selection to act as first mate, Mr. Hammond, if you will. Hammond steps up. I'm not one for speeches. I won't bore you. I'll keep this short. Hunt's a bloody traitor who left us to freeze. You think he's expected to make it all this way? Nah, he wanted us dead. And he wants us to burn this tree and the Viscount with it. Man's lucky bid set him alight the second we saw his ugly mug. As for Shaw, I've done my best just to keep us all from freezing to death, and nobody has stood in the way of that more than Shaw. Boy, what? We're lucky the rest of us has some sense, because Shaw would lead us off the side of a cliff if they could. Just another bloody egotist captain like Hunt, like the rest. I don't like Templeton, not one bit. Man's a prick. But he's our best choice. Hunt didn't work out for us, neither did Shaw. If nothing else, Templeton is at least committed. He's had a clear plan this entire time, and right now, that's what we need. You don't have to like the man. I hate the fucking bastard, but I could trust him to do smart things here, and that's all you can ask for. Hammond steps down. Thank you, Mr. Hammond. I'd have appreciated less choice of language, however. Well, that leaves us with Shaw. You waited patiently now. The floor is yours. You step forward as the crew awaits with bated breaths. They have been waiting patiently for quite some time, with Hunt and Templeton being granted time to speak ahead of you. You can only hope they find their final speech more memorable. There's a stillness in the air. You have traveled so far with this crew, and now they stand and all seem to be hoping that your next words will instill them with the confidence and assurance that all this time spent with you has been worth the trouble. You pause, collecting yourself for a moment before making your first statement. It pains me to see so few of you left amongst us, a circumstance I truly wish we could have avoided. I made my mistakes and has cost us. I carry that weight more than anyone. I have learned, though, through these experiences, and we all stand to be better prepared. I believe that the key to a true leader is understanding, and I like to think that I've come to understand you all and a great deal in our time together. I may not always display it as much, but I have learned from each of our interactions. Through it all, I've always had your best interest at heart. We did not come this far just to throw it all away here. Your thoughts turn to the Viscount and the tree spreading from his back. You must take your intentions clear. You must make your intentions clear. Right now, we should hunker down. Rescue will be searching for the ship. They will find us with it. The time for fear is over. Let us all stand united and plunge ourselves head first in the depths. Who will you choose as your first mate to speak on your behalf? They nod back at you. Cordell steps forward. It has been a long time since I was expected to give a speech. Allow me to keep this rather brief. Arf. Even Stanberry would like a word in, all positive, Shaw. I've dealt with a great deal of employers. Beyond that, I've spoken with nobles, wined and dined with royalty, and made deals with every ship captain you can imagine. And not a single one would see me stand here and stake my reputation in their favor. None but Shaw. Robin Shaw has proven a different breed entirely, one I can respect. I know all of you see it as well. For better or worse, some of you have dealt with Robin Shaw in your past. Rufus hunts as common as the dirt beneath your boot. Richard Templeton proves an even a duller sort. That sort will never pull us from the depths, but Shaw? I trust Shaw. Cordell steps back. Start the voting process. Yikes. All these dead people. Fuck. We fail as a captain. I'm just gonna say that right now. Dead don't count. As the vote comes to a close, Hunt stares at you in shock. Well, there you have it, Shaw. Suppose I can't argue with that, can I? I take it you'll respect the result then? Hunt eyes you carefully. Perhaps remains. I, for one, am glad to have such petty business behind us, and I'm glad to see you in charge, Shaw. Still, Hunt is still an issue, as in my understanding he has committed more than a few crimes against this expedition. Frankly, I care not. There are no laws out on the ice, but the decision is yours, Shaw. I'm curious on that myself. Well, Shaw, you're the captain? What should he do with me? He will join us as a free man. Until we reach land at least, and it's out of our hands, isn't it, Robin? A consequence of someone else's win? Then there's the matter of your other challenger. Templeton's actions certainly could be seen as sabotage and insubordination, if you wish to put a certain spin on it. Do you intend to restrain me, Captain? If we allow Hunt his freedom, there's no reason to treat Templeton differently. Templeton is a free man. As I would expect, I would commend your compassion, but this is just as much an intelligent course of action. Our employer would not take kindly to any abuse of the representative. Captain, we best decide on the matter of this plant. Templeton is right that this is truly a great discovery, but I do not know what others will make of it. Regardless, it's up to you. We should take samples from the tree for a private study. The crew moved in, collecting samples of the tree from its bark to its leaves, and most importantly, the fruit held upon its branches. No, damn you. You can't let Apperton have it, Shaw. You can't. To destroy this tree is to destroy the ship. You understand why that would be a bad idea, right? I understand that, Shaw, but you're running a dangerous line here. All that remains then is a method of escape. The rescue ship sent by the benefactor is unlikely we can make it to the shore in time, correct? It does leave us in a different position. We'll send an envoy out in the lifeboat, one who can flag down the rescue ship and lead them here. The crew get the word, setting the tree alight. You watch eventually as the Viscount begins to burn and turn. To be honest with you, Shaw, I am still trying to wrap my head around this madness. Well, I doubt such knowledge will be out of our hands once we return to land, correct? So I suppose we shouldn't be proud or not. We should be proud in our discovery. I wouldn't have made it this far without you, Cordell. Or Crean and Razzo and Pascal and Stanberry. I'm not accomplished much of my own, Captain. All I ask for is that my kin will be remembered. It'll be odd to return to land. What will you do once we return to land? I believe I'll find a new home, start over with a new kennel. I've done as much before, I intend to do so again. With any luck, we will not meet again. I hope not. I hope we meet again. Well, we'll see. Frankly, you seem to bring misfortune, Captain. The Jake, of course. It has been interesting, Robin. Promise me that you'll take care of yourself. Good girl, Snowy. Good girl. Swimmer lets out her playful bark. Captain, I can't believe I made it. And yet, we still placed our hopes on one lifeboat. I'm certain Kurt would have had something poetic to say here. You made it so far. I'm proud of you, Arthur. Thank you, Robin. I owe it to you. You know, I still thought it was hopeless even after leaving you that letter. I had very little faith in survival, and yet, People are relying on me, Captain. I can only hope I didn't let them down. What will you do once we return to land? Well, I have to face my family first and foremost. I never felt good enough to carry my father's name, but now, well, thank you. Keep in contact. If you need a haircut anytime, I'll tell my father to treat you for free. Oh, the air was cold, a flake and white. Captain made a pledge to the ice I prayed. The ice I prayed that leads revealed some charted course ahead. Of home they'll reach, the warmth near found. Through sailed, the comfort spread, a hunger to the desperate's here. It's one that I have fed. What did I do when the seer hearts broke and courage to the sound? I love these souls, so help the gods out the pale beyond. Was that it? That's the end of the game? Oh. It seems so. Okay, well. I may or may not continue to play this and go back and see different outcomes. Thank you guys for watching this. I always get the sucky ending, so that's okay. But no, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next game.